Oh well, that was like perfect timing for him to automatically walk on screen. Alright, so Twitch should be muted. Let's send down our Twitter stuff. Get the bot in here. And post on Discord. Alright, should be good. So, hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson, and it is, I was going to say February for some reason, but that is 2 months wrong. It is April 7th, and this is the April 7th TextQuest Devstream. So, it is Saturday. We are continuing our work on Custom Adventure Logic UI. So, current state of affairs, we have draggable areas now, as well as draggable objects. And draggable areas are basically just like Unity's rect transforms, or sorry, not rect transforms, scroll rects, in that they can be arbitrarily dragged around. They will accurately follow me now, so no longer has this acceleration that happens as you move faster or as you move towards the edges. Everything is largely the same. It's not quite one-to-one anymore. You'll notice that it's kind of got like a little bit of a push and pull there. It's always going to end up in the correct spot. It's just kind of like a. You'll notice that the X kind of softly transitions there, as opposed to moving exactly along with my mouse. And that's fine. It's not quite as snappy as I would like, but it works. All right, so this X is now the center of the draggable area, and then we have a draggable object over here in the form of this folder. So I can drag this wherever I want. Same thing, you'll notice that it kind of falls behind, but it always eventually gets to the right spot. And that's all we really care about. So that is the current state of affairs. We are going to start today by setting up nodes and then node connections. And node connections are going to be a little tricky. I think I don't know if I want to allow all nodes to have an arbitrary number of outputs, or if I should have some that can be limited. I guess when we start planning this stuff out, it should become apparent. Actually, no, it's probably fine to just have as many arbitrary connections as I want. Um, anyway, so we're going to go ahead and start doing that. So let's go to our test UI over here. So draggable area and draggable object are now going to kind of form the basis for my scripts regarding UI dragging. After all, that is why I made them. And, oh, before I forget, I'm going to be doing coding today and anything else. That should be fine. Hello, Scorpio. Welcome back. How are you doing today? All right, so let's go ahead and let's start with a default area. I want to make this. I'll keep this center X here just so that I can know where the center of the graph is. And on top of that, we may end up adding some extra functionality to the draggable object because right now there is no safety check on it. And what I mean by that is that if I drag it all the way over to the edge of the draggable area, so I drag this all the way over to the left here. So you can see that I can't scroll any farther to the left because it's doing a safety check for the scrollable area. But the object does not have that, so I can kind of just like keep positioning it. Now it's a little harder because it does snap to the center, but then of course if I just do that and then release, it's out of bounds and I can never click on it again. So I need to probably add a safety feature for that at some point, but that's not a huge thing. We'll probably look at that once we get through the connections. I'm fine, got a bunch of homework I'm working on. That always sucks. Hopefully it's nothing too bad. How about you? I am, as always, we'll see how this session goes, but I'm doing pretty well. It's been a busy week, but pretty productive. So yeah, my spirits are high. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new game object here. It is going to be an image. Let's go over here to UI. Let's put that on there. Let's pay attention to the cat because she lives a terrible life and doesn't get enough attention. All right, so for consistency's sake, actually, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and grab, let's see, room node. Pretty sure that it's going to be around here. Oh, except here we are. Prefabs, map view, room node. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this onto the draggable area. And we are just going to go ahead and apply a output here. So we'll give this the name test room. What is going on? Why is my background? Oh, my background is white by default. That is correct. I'm going to make that. Huh. That was not what I was expecting. Okay. Wow, I did that. Oh, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we're going to have it be like that. And in addition to that, I am going to, let's see, let's get rid of this room node here, remove, actually, hold on, is room node, let me edit this. This is what I was using to handle my drag. Yeah, it was, okay. So I might actually want to make that follow, oh, that would suck. Yeah, alright, I'll let that go. We don't actually care because we don't need that right now. So I'm just going to make this, instead of being a room node, I'm going to make it a draggable object, I guess. Draggable object, so we can drag this around. So if I wanted to, we can go ahead and play, and then I could drag this test room around. But the main thing is that we want to have like a sub-draggable object on this that is going to have a line renderer, or probably just a sprite. Do I want to try and do line renderers? We'll probably just do sprites. That as I drag this node around, this imaginary node that doesn't exist, a line will point from the node, the actual logic node, to the area that I'm dragging in. That way I can see where I'm dragging this stuff to. So we are going to want to go ahead and come over here. You are fine over here. And let's see here. So we are going to, so part of this structure is we need to be able to dynamically size to our labels. So as you can see, as I change this to just say like room, our node expands or shrinks. And we want that to expand and shrink both with the label and with the next object that we put in here, which is a, I guess like a draggable node, for lack of a better term. So I'm going to go ahead and create an image. I'm going to put this all the way, oh, I guess that's crud. Right. So it's going to try to lay everything out by horizontal layout. And interesting. It's got a height of 24 and a width of 0, which is never a good thing. So let's give this a solid for this. I guess we should probably make it solid sliced. Not that it matters. We'll go ahead and add a layout component, or layout element. We're going to have a mid-width, or min-width of 24. Looks like that's fine. There we go. And we'll give this spacing of 10. Okay. So now we have this node over here, and the idea is that you'll be able to click and drag on that. We'll probably make that something a little less boxy. Let's try to make it circular. See if I can get that to look right. I don't think I actually have a single circle in my... I guess we just use a knob. Gross. That's fine for a placeholder. Also, I apologize for clearing my throat. And for the cat running through the house. It's just a day of apologies. Well, Scorpio, while I'm doing this, what homework do you have to work on? If you don't mind sharing, of course. So I was going to make this circular, but I might as well just make this square for now. Let's go ahead and say solid sliced. We will have this not fill center. Jeez, gross. I just recovered, and now I have a gross throat. Go figure. Okay, so we're going to have this box here. I'm going to go ahead and call this connection output node. Okay. And underneath this, we're going to want to put another image. We will have this stretch and be 5 away from the sides. Let's give it a solid size. Okay, we'll call this the draggable node. Oof, I really don't like that. Say output connection. And this is our draggable. Draggable connection. Gross. Okay, and we are going to need scaling rect transform for the connection. I mean, I could try to be super fancy and do a line renderer, but I think a sprite will be fine. Okay, so we're going to have this be. We're going to need some new scripts. Let's go ahead and collapse a bunch of stuff that I don't really need. And let's see. Logic. You, and here we are. Alright, so here's our room, which does not actually have anything right now. Okay, I was hoping I would have my custom logic stuff, but I guess that's going to go down here. Okay, here we are. Nodes, CG logic node. Okay, so let's go ahead and say I want to do something with this. I guess for now we'll go ahead and create some scripts. So we'll say CG underscore logic node output connection. Wow, that is a really long name. I guess I can shorten that with just logic output. It's not a connection. It would be like logic output node. Gross. That sounds way too confusing. Output connector? Or output area, maybe? I guess I don't want to call it node because I already called something else node. And that would get confusing. So we'll say output, I guess connection. It's just kind of annoying that is. Because we're probably going to have like a CG logic connection that's going to be something kind of different. Go ahead and open that up. Make sure that it's in the correct namespace. It is going to not. This is not going to derive from our draggable area because I'm going to create C# for that. CG underscore logic output connection node. Now I gotta wait for it to finish compiling anyway. So logic output connection. God, I just have to live with node, don't I? Alright. Node. Fine. Alright. So this is going to get a little strange in that we're going to have this be obviously in the TextQuest namespace. This one is going to derive from draggable object, which isn't a thing in this namespace, so I need to come over here and say using sleepyowl.common. Okay. Now, on top of that, we are going to want to say override on begin drag. We'll call on based on begin drag. Then override on end drag, same thing. And we don't actually care about on drag for this, so we can just leave that as is. But there are a couple of things that we need to do. So first up, we are going to want, let's see, I'm going to do a couple of things because I've got to do this on the draggable object. Okay, so we're going to need a canvas, so we're going to say requires component type of canvas group, and that's because we need to, once we start dragging this, tell our canvas group to no longer be raycast interactable, so that when we release, we can actually determine what object we released on, and then we can resolve what we need to do. So we're going to say private canvas group cached group private we'll do canvas group cached group, come on, capital G here, cached group get return cached group question mark cached, can't spell cached group. Cached group is equal to get component canvas group. All right. Pretty much everything for your homework. Yeah, that's how I remember homework being too. I definitely do not miss that from school. Don't really miss school much. Okay, so on begin drag, we're going to call base.on begin drag, and we're also going to go ahead and say cached group, capital C, dot, let's see, there should be raycast, or is it interactable? No, it's not that. Really? Is it like blocker then? There it is, blocks raycasts. That's going to be equal to false. And then on end drag, it will be set to true. True. Okay. So let's see. That should allow us to drag around, and then we can easily determine what we drop on. Let me think. Do I need to have a special event for this? Maybe. I might. Okay, let's go ahead and so I think we want to say event system dot current dot, what is it, like target? No, selected? No, hover. Wow. Okay, one of these things is what I need. Let's see, already selecting broadcast message compared to constant force. Enabled for selected game object. I don't think it's that. Yeah. Let's see. GUI element, GUI textures, hindering, repeating. It's kind of like this. But we want to know what it is. There should be like a list of these somewhere, I think. Render, raycast. Oh, is it raycast all? It might be, yes. Okay. So let's see. We probably want that. So, okay, so we'll raycast all. We'll pass in event data, and we will need a list of raycast results. So I'm going to need to come up here and say, get rid of some stuff, and say, using, not sleepy owl, system.collections.generic. Okay, and then we are going to have a private list raycast results. I guess we would make that drop objects, for lack of a better term. Okay, and then we'll pass in drop objects. Okay, so that should populate that list, and then we can just loop through that to determine what we are hitting. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and do a for loop that does that exact thing. 0, I is less than drop objects dot count I plus plus. We'll just debug dot log drop objects of I dot game object dot name. So we're not going to do anything special there. We're not actually going to parent it or anything, but I just want to know if I can get the object that I'm dropping it over. Okay. So the actual logic output connection is going to need some stuff set up. First up, the connection itself is not draggable. It can't be moved around, so this is fine as is. But we are going to need to have serialize is field private CG logic output connection node. We'll call that connection node. Okay. In addition to that, we are going to need. So for now, I'm just going to do this. We need a prefab for. I guess it would just be a. No, it wouldn't be a rect transform. Okay. For now, I'm going to make it a rect transform. And I'm going to call this our connection prefab. So that's tooltipped as the prefab to spawn to represent the connection between this node and the target node. Okay. And let's see. What else do we need? I don't think we need any fields after that. Which we don't really have fields over here, do we? Oh, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to need a couple of things. Private void on awake. We're going to want to say connection node dot on drag end plus equals, do that. Let's go ahead and rename this to on connection drag end. We will not throw a new exception. We will, however, reset its position. So we're going to want to say peak definition here. I probably want this to be protected. Aha! Protected. Probably all of these should be protected, actually. Which means that our draggable area should also probably be protected. Did I do Indie Comic-Con last weekend? I did not. I knew what was going on, but I didn't really have time to go. It was the first week. It was the first weekend back from GDC that wasn't like part of the traveling from GDC, and I felt like I needed to do my Devstream and all that. I wanted to make sure that I got back on schedule as well as I could. And admittedly, I haven't done a good job of that. I keep getting interrupted by work things, but yeah, I didn't feel that I could step away last weekend, unfortunately. Did you go to it? Okay, so when we get here, we're going to want to have a public function. Oh, can't put that there. That's the getters. Getters go before functions. Public void reset position. Come on, capital R. Reset position. And for that, we're just going to say cache transform. Are you serious? Wow. Let's go ahead and go back over here. I guess we can actually make these. Oh, come on. Private. Because these should be cached. Oh, no, you should be protected. And you should also be protected. There we go. That's what we need. So these should be protected. And these should be private. Okay. So, let's go ahead and go over to here. So I'm going to say cached transform dot anchored position is equal to vector 2.0. Okay. So that means all we should do down here is on connection drag end. We're just going to call connection node dot reset position. Go ahead and put this up so that my order of everything is correct. Paste this here. Alright. So with this, I should be able to drag the node around. It won't have any line going to it to show its connection, but I should be able to drag it around, drop it onto something, and then as soon as I release it, it should get its position reset. So we will see if that actually happens. I'm very hopeful that it does. No, I didn't want to make that drive up there. That's fair. Yeah, it really sucks to drive up to a convention in Indy if you don't have someone or some place to stay at. just because an hour, well, two 1 hour drives, one from and one to Bloomington does not, it's not very fun, especially in one day. Might go to a soccer game sometime in summer though. Huh. Does Cindy have a like soccer team? I guess I wouldn't be surprised if we did. I just never thought about it. Oh, I forgot to assign all the scripts. I was so busy coding that I forgot to actually put them on there. Okay, so we're going to call this the output connection. Let's go ahead and put that there. Okay, then our draggable connection, which really needs a better name. Let's go ahead and move that up. Okay, it's interactable, it blocks raycast, that's all good. We will go ahead and come down here. Let's assign this. Oh, crap. That doesn't go there. That's not what I want. No. That is not. Draggable connection goes there. Okay. So let's go ahead, hit save, and I will hit play. So I should be able to... I don't think I can actually drag the room around right now. But that's fine. I don't need to. Oh, no, that's right. I made it a draggable object. Never mind. Yeah, totally can do that. And now I should be able to drag you. Yes, yes, this pleases me. Oh, crap. No, it doesn't. Ew, gross. Okay, so... Well, I guess it's in order. So we got draggable object, which is the folder, draggable area, which is the grid, and drag test, which is probably the white border, I'm guessing. Yeah, okay. So we only really care about the first one. Okay, we can do that. And let's see. Oh, okay. I thought you were in Bloomington. I didn't realize you were an hour south of there, or presumably an hour south of there. Otherwise, otherwise it wouldn't be 2 hours. But yeah, that's even worse. Uh, okay, so we do get accurate information out. The first object is the highest object, so it's the object that I literally dropped it on top of, and it just went down. So it went folder, background, background. So that means that we can retrieve the node, the logic node that we get dropped onto, and then we can use that. We can send that back through a series of events to cause connections to form. So we're going to want to add some behaviors to this. So let's go to CG logic node. We are going to make this be a draggable object. We don't really care about the behavior or anything like that. We are going to do a couple of private void awake. Let's see. So we are going to, make this private. Well, no, we'll probably keep that as public for now. Then we're going to say serialize field, private, what was it, CG logic output connection. Output connection. Geez, that's super awkward. I kind of want to like call it output area or something. We'll just call it output. And in addition to that, we are going to need. I guess that's kind of it for that. But we are going to want to have a private list. Okay, let me think. We probably are going to end up having. Jeez, it would be like a list of ints, similar to our room ID situation. I don't know if I want to handle that right now. I might just make it literally a list of other logic nodes. So let's go ahead and say CG or CG underscore logic node. These will be our outputs. Equal to new. We'll say output nodes actually. So these would be nodes. This node will call on complete. Let's see. Yeah, an hour from Louisville and an hour from Bloomington. Okay. So you're pretty far south then. That's like, is that Evansville? Around there? Okay, so we have our list of output nodes. These are just nodes that we are connected to um, because we're going to need these. Let's see. We're going to need a couple of things. With draggable objects. Crap basket. Okay. I might as well just make these public. Just because it does make things a little bit easier for me. Public, and I mean they're only getters anyway. So public. Save that. And because I need to reference that from my logic node here. So we are going to say oh, right. Before we get too far, I guess, let's go ahead and get the line drawing first before I start setting up things like recording connections. I think getting the line to properly move with us will be a better use of our time, at least to start. Okay. Once it finishes compiling, I will be able to actually do something. But until then, I must simply stare. Alright, there we are. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new C# script. I'm going to call this CG underscore logic connection, because that's honestly all I can really think of. So let's go ahead and double click on that. It is a mono behavior. It is not a draggable object, and that is because it cannot be dragged around. It should only be dragged around when the nodes it's attached to are dragged around. Okay, so let me think. This is going to get kind of awkward. So we can only have one connection for input connections, but we can have arbitrary numbers of output connections. So yeah, I mean Evansville, to be fair, is like the far, it's the far corner of the boot. So it's as south as you can get in Indiana, really. Okay, so the logic connection. This is where things get kind of weird. We so output connection node. No, that's not what we want. It's this. Okay, so I might have to have another script here. We'll call this CG underscore logic IO connection. The idea being that this is the core class that both output connection and input connection will derive from. And I guess while I'm here, I might as well make one for input connection. CG logic input connection. Alright, let's go ahead and open this up. Come on. There we are. Alright, so this is going to be a mono behavior. God, it looks like logic-io or logic-low instead of logic-io. Bah, I hate I sometimes. Okay, so we are going to need CG logic output connection. This is going to derive from CG underscore logic IO. Oh, right. Connection, which is not currently in the correct namespace for it to work. Make this text quest. Okay. Go ahead and save that. Come back here. Should be good. All right. So all this is really going to do is establish a cache transform for these things. So we'll say private cache, rect transform, cache transform, I can't spell, transform, then public rect transform, cache transform, get return, cache transform, question mark, cache transform, cache transform is equal to get component rect transform. Lowercase c there. Cool. Let's go ahead and let that compile. Let's see. If you go south down 7 or 3, I can't talk today. If you go south down 37, you go right to our town square from Bloomington or from Indy. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, 37 is I mean, that's pretty much the main road for the southern half of Indiana, because it leads all the way up to Indy. Okay, let's go ahead and move this over here. Make you text quest. Make you cg underscore logic IO connection. Okay, and do we need anything else from this? Not especially. Trying to think of anything really useful. Actually, no. We will want to have a public. Go ahead and make this abstract. Void. Hold on. Before I do that, let's come up here and say using system.collections.generic. We are going to have a private list of cg underscore logic connection. Is that seriously not a thing? Oh, no, it's not in my correct namespace. There we go. So we're going to have a list of that, and that's going to be our connections. I can't. Why does it keep doing that? Connections. It's new list. And we're going to make that protected, not private. This is an abstract class. And then we're going to go ahead and say public void reset connections. Okay, and then we'll loop through our connections for int I equals 0, I is less than connections.count, I plus plus, and we will go ahead and call like a public void reset position. We'll just do that. We'll call connections of I dot reset position. Haha. Cool. So this forms the core logic that I think we'll need for input and outputs. It is. It's probably fine. It kind of sucks because this means that our input connection will have a list for its connections, even though it can only ever have one. But that's probably okay, just because it will. Well, I might be able to work with that anyway. Trying to think of how we're going to handle like resetting connections whenever you drag a new connection into an input field. It would probably have to get rid of the old input connection and then make the new input connection. So let's go ahead and in our input connection, we're going to want to call public void create connection. That would be connected to a node, right? So it would be cg underscore logic node, and then cg underscore logic connection. I think that's what we're going to want to have. Okay. So I feel like we can actually make this an abstract thing. So let's go ahead and go back over here. We're going to make this that. Get rid of you. mark you as abstract. So that gives us something to do. We're going to call this override. Cool. Come back over here. Save. Let's go over to output connection. I'm going to drag these over so I can see them all. Over here. Alright. So for the input connection, this is going to be made whenever you drop that node. Oh my god. I don't know why I keep getting onto this. We're not ready to do this yet. We need to do the actual connection stuff first. Okay. So the logic connection is going to have two things. It's going to have a source and a target rect. So I'm going to say private rect transform source rect private rect transform target rect. Okay. And then on reset position, we are going to do, oh dear, maths. Okay, this is going to be fun. I think I'm actually going to cheat and take a look at what I did for my CG room connection. Please tell me that's what I called it. Ah, so close. Okay, let's look for connection. Because surely I did call it that. Room connection? Oh, it's base info. Room connection. Oh, stop it. It's out a little bit. Connection base info. So we don't need data. We want logic connection, connection. Connections room connection, I believe. Yes. Okay. So for this, we want to do all of this math, basically. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and just grab this. Okay. Move all of that. I'm going to go to logic connection. Okay. So I'll say if source rect is equal to null, and if target rect is equal to null. Do that for now. Okay, so here is right. That's a good point. We'll probably need to keep track of multiple connections. But do we? No, we don't. Well, no, we don't. We don't have to do it the same way. With the room connections, if you recall, I tried to space them out so that they wouldn't overlap. But I don't really care about that for logic connections because they can't really overlap very easily. So I'm not too worried about that. Excuse me. Okay. So I think I can get rid of like all of this basically. Oof. Connection spacing. What even was that? 1F divided by. Okay. I'm going to assume that this should just be 0.5F. It's hard to remember exactly what I did with all this stuff. So for a base room ID is equal to a target room ID, in that case it shouldn't. Oh, right, that's a special check. We don't care about that. So I can straight up get rid of that. Boop. Okay, and connection arrow dot sprite. We're going to say we don't need to care about that. Base dot is, our base is newer. We don't care about that. Angle is what we do care about. We're going to come up here. We're going to say using sleepyowl.common so we can get those sweet, sweet math extensions. We do not care about any of this. Well, no, we don't care about that. So let's go ahead and do this. Ah, man. Back hurts. Let's see, base room. So this should be our source rect. Huh? What? Oh, right. Okay, that makes sense. Because I was kind of doing like a wrapper for that stuff. So let's go ahead and say target rect dot anchored position little a over here. Target rect anchored position. Okay. Good God. Just gonna replace all of this. Okay. And I think we are good. If base is newer, I don't think we actually care about that. We'll comment that out for now. Rotate vector 2 around point. That's all fine. Get rect edge point. Base room. Cache transform. Blah, blah, blah. So I guess we would say source rect for that. And then since we don't care about you, I think we just want angle. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass in angle here. Okay. So here's our target rect. Get rid of you. Same thing. We're going to say angle plus 180F. Okay. And again, we're going to get rid of this. We will say, so for our logic connection, is that really? Oh, I don't have a cache transform for that, surprisingly enough. So we'll say, actually, put that on here. Private transform, cache transform, private rect transform, cache transform, get return, if I can spell return, cache transform, cache transform, else cache transform is equal to get component transform. Okay. So that should be good. Let's let that compile, and while we are here, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and let that compile. I should have, let's see, I think we're gonna need to constantly update that while we're dragging, so I guess actually that means, let's see, where do we want to go here? We're gonna go to logic output connection, and we are going to spawn in, instead of a rect transform, we're going to spawn in a CG underscore logic connection. Here's our connection prefab. Okay, so a couple of things. We're going to say private void on connection drag end. I'm sorry, not drag end. Begin. Okay, so we need to come over here. We're going to say connection dot on drag begin plus equals on connection drag begin. Cool, cool, cool. So once we start dragging the connection node, we need to spawn a connection line. That way it can follow the connection node around. So we are going to, let's see. I think I need to have, I need to have like an initialization, basically. So let's go ahead and say public void initialize, not on server initialize. We're going to pass in two rect transforms, one for the source, then another rect transform for the target. Okay, we'll just say source rect is equal to source, then target rect is equal to target. Cool. And then I guess we'll call reset position just to be thorough. Okay. Let's go to, let's see, logic input connection node. No, not that. It's the connection itself that I need, don't I? Let's come over here. Oh no, that's the. Wait, that's not right. That's the input connector. I was gonna say, like, that's not right. Where's my output stuff? Okay. So for this, we are definitely going to have. Jeez, no. Let me think. Let me think. So do I want to have the connection list in the? I guess I already have it here, don't I? This is our list of connections. Which is kind of awkward because that means that our logic doesn't really have that, and that's probably fine. We just need probably some way of retrieving that. Okay, so we don't need to worry about the list because we already have those. So on create connection. Well, actually, no, hold on. We're going to do this. We're going to say private cg underscore logic connection, and we'll call this temp connection. And this connection is just going to be the one that exists while you're dragging around. So we're going to say on connection drag begin. We will say temp connection is equal to pool manager. Oh, really? Not using. Nope, we're not using sleepyowl.common. Equal to pool manager dot request, and then we'll pull in connection prefab. Okay, and with that we can then say temp connection. Oh, right. Oh dear. Okay. Yeah, that got a lot more complicated. So I need to make sure that the connections get parented to the canvas, specifically that they get parented to the correct area of the canvas. And that sucks. So crap. That really sucks. Okay. For now, I'm just going to have this be a public field, and I will change this to be a little bit cleaner in the future. So I'm just going to say public rect transform connection area. So we'll say temp connection dot set cache really fine. Then here connection area. All right. Then we're going to want to say temp connection dot initialize based on the cache transform of this object and the connection node dot cache transform. Okay, and that should be fine. Let me go over here real quick. Go to definition. I do not have a is dragging, but I do have, well, actually I can probably add one. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go to draggable object. I'm going to have a private bool is dragging is equal to false. So on begin drag, we're going to say is dragging is equal to true. Get rid of that stuff because we don't really need it. On in drag, we'll say is dragging is equal to false, and then we will have a public getter for this. So we'll say public bool is dragging is equal to get return is dragging. There we are. And that should be accessible, so that means I can go back here to my output connection node, and not the node, output connection. And in update, I'm going to say private void update if, what did I call it, connection node? Yep. Connection node dot is dragging. Is that right? That doesn't seem right. No, that's totally right. Okay, so if that is dragging, then we are going to do something, and that is going to be, I guess it would be if temp connection does not equal null, temp connection dot update, or I'm sorry, reset position. probably should change that to be like update position or something. In fact, I will do that right now. This reset position doesn't quite sound right. Update position. Okay. So I think with all of that, oh, one more thing. So on drag end, we're going to say if temp, you know what, that should never be possible for it to be at null. So I'm going to go ahead and say pool manager dot recycle temp connection dot game object. Okay. And I am also going to go ahead and say on connection drag end. We're not going to worry about it for now. I'm just wanting to make sure that the line draws correctly, and then we'll focus on getting the permanent connections to exist and to have them arbitrarily go from one node to another. Well, to their input nodes anyway. Okay, so let's see if I'm half as smart as I like to think I am. The correct answer is probably no, but you know, it's good to dream. Okay, so I probably have a couple of, yeah, these things, which I always hate. Yes, what about you? Let's go ahead and fix that. Yes, and we'll end with, okay, there we go. Yes, okay. I hate it when it does the whole, like, you have different line endings. This will break everything. So I'm going to let that go ahead and compile, and then we should be good to test. Ah, man. I don't know why, but I'm really tired today. Probably should not have stayed up as late as I did last night. Okay, so let's go ahead and clear this. We're going to hit play. Okay. So in theory, what we should be able to do now is I should be able to drag, so I can drag this around, and then when I drag this, it should have, yep, that's a null reference. It's a null reference right there. Oh, it's because I forgot to assign its parent, or its prefab. Yep, that would do it. That would do it. There we go. Connection, oh, and same thing with the connection area. I forgot to assign a lot of stuff. Okay. So for the draggable area, we'll go ahead and make this a scaled object. We'll call this connections for now. And I'm also going to look for room connection. Let's get that. I'm going to go ahead and drag this out to here. We're not going to have, you know what, we'll keep it like this for now. We'll get rid of this room connection. We will make it a logic connection instead. Everything should be good on there. Okay, let's go ahead and, how do I want to do this? I suppose, are you under scripts? You are. Prefabs. Let's go ahead and go to prefabs. Folder. Prefabs. Okay, so I'm going to make this a logic connection instead of a room connection. Drag that down here. Okay, get rid of you. We will go ahead and assign our connections area and then our logic connection. Okay, so now we should be a little bit better off. Let's see what this does. Besides fail horribly, I'm assuming. Well, that's almost correct. So this gets super awkward. Okay. Okay, so I need to do this. Control. Oh shit! Is it Control Shift P? What the? Oh, can I not do it? Oh, come on, really? Great. Maybe it's like left. Okay, this is really awkward. There it is. Interesting. So fun fact, it has to be Control Left Shift P, not Control Right Shift P, to stop playing by button command. But the main thing is I want to see what my logic connection thinks it should be looking at. So output connection, which is here. Yeah, that is clearly not correct. Well, I mean, it's right. It's targeting the right things for their rects, but um, it's not positioning itself correctly, uh, which is piece of crap. Which makes sense because it's using the anchor transform, and the anchor transform, as far as it knows, is at 0, 0. That's why it's kind of awkwardly positioning like this. Piece of crap. Okay. Well, don't that just beat all? I also think it's pointing the wrong direction. But let's go ahead and stop playing. Oh man, like all kinds of wrong is going on here. Like all kinds of wrong. It does not like you doing that. So I'm curious if I drag around, does it seem to be correct, at least in spacing? Kind of. Yes. Like it's kind of it's awkward because of just where things reside spatially. Um, like I don't feel like that arrow is correct. That but again, it's being thrown off by the whole, not in the same spot. So crap baskets. That really makes things difficult for me. What can I do to handle this? Um, well, can I get? No, that wouldn't work, would it? Let's go to normal mode here. So the source position delta is that. It's 100x and negative 22y. So that's kind of why it's like over here, I guess. But we need to use that in conjunction with its parent offset. Okay, so ooh, that is kind of gross. So that probably means that instead of using their actual rect transforms in the connection, let's see, where are you, logic connection? So instead of using these source rects, I probably should make these, because the only thing we really care about is their anchored position, right? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all we do. I guess we do this a little bit, but I think we can get away with that as well. So we're going to actually change this. Instead of being rect transforms, these are probably going to be I/O connections that will have their cache transforms accessible. And these will require a function that's like get, let's see, so we'd be public vector to get anchored position. And that's going to have to take into account its parent and itself. And then basically, so it's going to get the parent's anchored position. Then we're going to add to that this cache transform's anchored position, and then that will be the true anchored position or that our logic connection needs to be accurate. Okay. So we are going to say, we'll start off with vector 2 pose is equal to, say, vector 2.0, then we will return pose at the very end here. And we are going to need to cache our parent's transform, so we'll say private rect transform cached parent transform. Okay, come down here, we're going to say, I feel like this could be private. Private cached parent. Oh, I need to specify, don't I? Rect transform. Cached parent transform. Get return cached parent transform. Question mark cached parent transform. Cached parent transform is equal to cache transform dot parent dot get component rect transform. Okay, make this lowercase c. And we're going to come down here and we're going to say this is actually equal to cached parent transform dot anchored position. And then we're going to say pose dot x plus equals cache transform dot anchored position dot x. Then pose dot y plus equals cache transform dot anchored position dot y. Okay. So that should give us our true anchored position, which means that we're going to come back down here. That won't work. Now will it? Because the node that we're dragging around is not... Crap. Crap. That's very annoying. Okay, so I need... So the problem is that our logic output connection node, which is what we drag around to make connections, it's not a logic I/O connection. So it won't have this get anchored position, which makes things kind of annoying, but... Let me think. Maybe I can have an optional thing where if it doesn't have a... Well, no, that won't work. Crap! That's very annoying. I suppose I could give it a neutral connection instead of an input-output connection. Just make this connection node a... No, that wouldn't work because that would be multiple classes. It has to derive from draggable object. Okay. Well. Okay, this is a little awkward, but I think we can get away with this. So, hold on. First off, I'm going to clean up my code here. Paste that in there. Do we even use you? No, I guess we do. That seems... that's probably fine. Yeah, sure, why not? Okay. So we need... get rid of all these debugs. We don't really need you at all now, do we? Get rid of you, and okay. So we're going to need to handle having actual CG logic I/O connections and having only the source connection. So crap. That's a little sloppy, but it'll work. Okay. So we're gonna change these from source recs to CG logic I/O connection. Let's go ahead and come down here. Paste that in. Okay. Now, with that, we are going to want to do a couple of things. We are going to need to rename this as target. Ah, jeez. I can't call it target connection. What can I call these things? Like target point or source point? That's so awkward. But I can't call them recs because they're not rec transforms anymore. I can't call them nodes because they're not really nodes. I can't call them connections because this is a connection. But, jeez, I hate it when I come up with really stupid names. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and call it source point for now, and the target point. Okay, so with that, we are also going to go ahead and say private rect transform target rect. Okay, and we did that because we're going to have another initialize function down here. We're going to say public void initialize. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. Copy you. All right, and instead of a IO connection target, we're going to pass in a rect transform target. This is not going to be target point. This is not going to be target rect. Okay. And down here, we get to do all the fun bits. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this. We need to do all of this because, you know, I can't have fun. And of course, we have to have duplicate code. Otherwise, it's just not fun. So we're going to say if target point. What the heck? Why aren't you... Okay, target point. Why are you mad? Does not equal null. What are you talking about? I have multiple things called target point, don't I? I've done something stupid. Ah, there it is. Yes. So let's go ahead and call this instead of... Of course I did. Ah! Fine, we'll call them connection. Alright. Target connection. I can't believe I did that. I saw it flash red briefly, but I did nothing to stop it. Target connection. Capital C. Oh, yes, you're going to complain, aren't you? Let's go up here. So if target connection does not equal null, then we're going to do something. And I'm going to paste that all in because I need to. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's go ahead and get rid of this again. I'm just going to go ahead and copy everything. Copy all of you. Come up here, paste this in. All right. Else, we're going to do this. Kind of. We're like halfway there. Okay, so source connection is going to be get anchored position dot y. Or actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead and say vector2 source position is equal to source. Wow, I can't spell source even. Connection dot get anchored position. So we're just going to call source position dot y. Then source position dot x. Let's go ahead and say vector2 target position is equal to target connection dot get anchored position. Oh, come on. Get anchored position. We're going to go ahead and say target position for these guys. Target position. Let's go for source position. All right. So then we're going to need to say source connection dot cached transform dot cached transform. All right, cool. So the only difference here is that we are going to do another vector2, basically the same thing, source position. Okay, go ahead and copy this. We'll paste that in here. Paste you in here. We don't need this. We're going to change this to target rect. It's going to be target rect as well. Position.x and then target rect. Target rect. Source connection dot cache transform. Okay, I think that's good. So let's go ahead and we're going to say, in addition to all of these initializes, I'm going to go ahead and have a public void cleanup. Okay, and that's going to just set source connection is equal to null, target connection is equal to null, and then target rect is equal to null. Okay. Let's go ahead and let that compile. And I'm hoping that that will actually do what I want. It seems like it should, but then again, you know, I've been deceived before, so. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. That won't work. It will not work. On connection drag begin. Oh, right. So this is going to be this, and then that. Yes. But that's actually not going to work. I will let it compile, and then I'll show you why it's not going to work. But I guess while compiling, I will tell you. It's because our connection node, the thing that we drag around, is a child of our main node, or of our actual connection, our output connection, which means that like what we were seeing before, where it was offset, it's going to do the same thing, basically. Although maybe not. Maybe we can get away with that. Maybe. We'll see. It probably won't go well. So let's go ahead. Chances are it's probably going to be like super weird and not accurate, but it might at the very least be in the correct source spot. So it should be coming out of this node. Well, maybe. It's too hard to tell. Go ahead. Oh god, awkward. I gotta use both hands for this. Are you serious? Come on. Seriously? You're just being a dick. So it won't let me do Control-Shift-P right now, even when I do it with the correct size, or sides. Are you serious? Crap. Fine. I guess that Unity doesn't like you doing 4 things at once. Well, that makes it incredibly tedious to try and do anything with. Okay, so Control-Shift-P. Really? Like even holding it doesn't do anything. What about here? Can I do it if I'm off script? Nope, I can't do it there either. You're no fun, Unity. Alright, so let's go ahead and I guess we'll do pretty much the exact same thing for our output connection node. We'll just have another function that pretty much calculates everything for us again. Let's see, IO connection. We're going to go ahead and grab this. Connection node. Oh, this is stupid. Fine. I really hate having to do this. We're going to have a public. Yep. Yep. I think we'll just call this cache parent. Really? Draggable object doesn't have a parent reference? Oh, it's just called parent transform. Alright. Parent transform. So crap. No, this isn't good enough. All right, fine. So we're gonna have a. That's so gross. I'm gonna go ahead and say public void initialize. And that's going to take a CG logic output connection. I hate doing this. Output connection. It's so freaking annoying that I have to do this. Private CG logic output connection. Output connection. We'll say this dot output connection is equal to output connection, and that's because I really don't want to have to figure out how many arbitrary parents I have, so I need to do this. Get anchored position. That will just make things a little bit easier for me. And that does mean that on, jeez, let's see, temp connection, yada yada yada, awake. I guess we'll go ahead and say connection node dot initialize this. Okay. So let's see what. Oh wait, nope, I lied. That's half of what I need to do. The other half is go to you. And now you're not going to be a rect transform, you're going to be this. And you're going to be this. Oh crap, you're not that. I'm sorry, you're CG underscore what? Output connection node. There we go. Put you there, put you there. And that means that down here we have to do that fun stuff. It's basically an exact duplicate. Go figure. Which actually, crap. Yeah, that sucks. Okay. For now, we'll just take the easy way out and do this. So this is going to be target rect. Oh, come on. Are you serious? Stop it. Stop it. What are you doing? Why are you highlighting like this? What is wrong with you? Vector 2. Target position is equal to target rect dot get anchored position. Okay. So we're going to come down here, do this, and that, and target rect.cache transform. Okay, so I think that will be correct. Maybe, if it really feels like it, but it probably won't feel like it. Also, I don't remember this. Interesting. Oh, good. We have an error. Isn't that nice? Like that. All right. So now it will be perfect and flawless, and I will be proven infallible. Just like I always am every Saturday. Oh, man. Well, while this is compiling, trying to think of anything exciting really going on in the gaming industry. Nothing really crazy besides the ever downward spiral of PUBG. I think they started suing basically like everyone who does battle royale genres, which is kind of funny. Okay. Oh, come on! And you know the cruel thing is I can't even pause it to see where it thinks it's going! I love it. Okay. So it is quite clear to me that that is not giving us the correct output. So let's go ahead and log that connection, what it thinks those values are. Let's say debug.log source position.toVector string plus target position.toVector string plus do. Okay, I'm gonna grab this. That's the only one we should really care about because the other one is only if the target position is not equal to null, in which case it is not for this. So at the very least, we should be able to get some use out of this. Well, we didn't get any null references thrown, did we? It just didn't seem to accurately judge position. Okay, let's see. I will conquer you, I promise. Oh, hello, that's why. Okay. Wait, really? That's not... That doesn't make sense. Does that mean that you are not... Let's see, output connection, here we are. Your connection node is dragging. I mean, are you even getting there? I don't think you are. guess. Oh, right. Well, that would partially do it now, wouldn't it? Let's go ahead and get rid of you. So I had a that. Mm, well, whatever. Um, so I had a null check that was preventing it from progressing. That explains a lot. Okay. So let that compile. Now that we don't have that null check, we should at least get some amount of movement. I hope. Um, it would be really nice if it was correct, too. Let's go ahead and play. And Shazam. Well, it's this is interesting. It's almost correct. Oof. It's yeah, it's weird. Um, so as you can see, it's like clearly. It's weird because the size and scale of it is almost correct, but then it gets wrong really fast. So let's see. Negative 148 by negative 22. I'm going to go ahead and pause, and I want to see if that looks correct. So we have the room node, which is at position negative 255. That's its center. And then our output connection is over by 100. Oh, except it's offset from the far left. Oh, that sucks. So that definitely will not give us a valid number or a valid position. But maybe it can. Oh, I lied. No, it can't. Nope, 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 nope. Well, maybe it can. Oh, no. No, it can't. Can't do that. Um, Piece of crap. That sucks incredibly hard. So, I suppose I could try this a different way. Let's go ahead and ignore layout. I'm going to, instead of having spacing of 10, we're going to spacing of 0. And from the right, I'm simply going to have 30. 50 probably. 40 then. Okay, and we're going to change this to be... Oh, I really hope this works. I don't think that it will, but I will try it either way. We're going to say negative 5, 5, and 5. That's not exactly right. We do 10 and 10. 10 and 10. Do negative 10. And we will make this be 45 from the right. Okay. I get the feeling this is actually going to be kind of worse. But, you know, we'll try it to see if we can get away with it. I wonder if there's like a utility in rect transform utilities for this. Basically let you get the center of a rect transform no matter where it is. That is almost correct. Okay. So if you look at it, it looks like it's wrong, but notice that it is 100% correct for its shape. So like the arrow is roughly where I would expect it to be with regards to the node's position or relationship with its parent. So now I just need to make sure that I offset that by that amount. Okay. So we are pretty good, which means that we need to come down here and we need to set our anchored position to be this. close. We're very, very close. Get rid of these guys. Save. Stretch and yawn. Because it's good to stretch once you've been hunched over looking at a computer screen for an hour and a half. Okay. So, our base point and our target point. You know what I bet is happening? Oh, okay. I think I need to do this plus vector2.lerp. This is not ideal. I shouldn't really be lerping this many times with vector stuff. Source position, target position, 0.5f. Let's try that. So I'm hoping that that little addition at the end there will properly position it. We will find out. Okay. All right. Go ahead and play. And Shazam! I'm a little worried about. Oh, so close! You know what's really frustrating is I bet it's because the pivot is on the wrong part. Let's go ahead and stop playing. Grab our logic connection. Is it because it's not? Shoot. That's so annoying that I can't really. Okay, so I'm totally just gonna cheat here, and I'm just gonna come down here, and I'm gonna say private void update if input.get key down keycode.p or p. We'll say debug.break. Okay. That should get it to pause. Have you played Sea of Thieves? I have not played Sea of Thieves. When it was first announced, it didn't really pull my interest very well. Like I tend not to really enjoy largely online multiplayer experiences. There are certainly some games that I enjoy that are that, but for the most part, I tend to stay away from them. And it seems like I kind of made the right move there. It sounds like Sea of Thieves is running into some backlash with it being somewhat unfinished, from what I understand. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and pause. So let's see, logic connection. That is not at all correct. Okay, so it's annoying because it does seem like this is like their positions are correct. That's coming out here. But have you played it much, Scorpio? So we're looking at height 0. See, it's weird because you can see that the output, the positions that we have here. So this is our source position and this is our target position. The target position's y-axis is 192, and the freaking position of our connection here is 194y, which is not correct at all. Our x seems to be correct. It's about what I would expect. Actually, it's not really. Well, no, that's probably about right. Or is it? Actually, that kind of doesn't really look like it. Let's go ahead and start playing. It seems like our Y values are messed up here. Uh, yeah, it's pretty fun. I like it though. I think it would be better if I had friends to play it with. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the big thing with those multiplayer centric games is that you need to have a group going in. Because there are games like Vermintide, which I really enjoyed, but if your friends aren't signed in and to play with you, there's not really much you can do there. I mean, you can certainly play with random people, but it doesn't have the same appeal in that case, um, and it just kind of gets tedious. I feel. Uh, so this is interesting. Distance between the base point and the target point. So the size is correct, but but its position is not between the base point and the target point. And the why would you be incorrect here? Let's factor source position, target position 0.5. I must have. Wait. Time out. I. No, that doesn't make sense. I mean, 50% of alert between 0 and 194 should not be 192 should not be 194. Um, what in the world happened there? It's almost like the vector2.lerp is wrong, but that can't be right. So I must be doing something stupid here. Is target position not set properly? Get anchored position. Target rec not get anchored position. No, and it seemed like those were correct. Cache transform anchored position. X. Y. Huh. Okay. Let's. It'd be nice if I could debug this stuff, but it's really hard to do that. I mean, you don't have to have anyone else to play with you. It would just be easier to sail. Well, no, I understand that, but it's the kind of the multiplayer centric games. It's even if they can be played single player, there's not a lot of fun to be had there normally. Like it's okay. Like it does usually what the game sets out to do, but a lot of those types of games heavily depend on player interactions to really generate enjoyment. So it becomes a lot more difficult, I think, to enjoy a multiplayer game if you don't have people to play with. Um, huh, this is gonna bug me. Uh, how on earth can that even be true? So I'm gonna go ahead and try playing again. We're not really gonna get anything useful, but I'll try it. Okay, so I'm gonna drag and then I'm gonna pause, and then I'm gonna just create a rect transform to kind of like drag around so I can compare positions. So let's go ahead and in our draggable area we will create a new rect transform. So its value should update. So we're looking right about there. Negative 265. Oh, yeah, we're definitely skewing a little bit there. Um, what am I gonna do about that? That's kind of crap. Um, I think I can fix that. It's just gonna be tedious. Okay. So 65 and 0, so about right there. That's kind of correct. It's basically just the center of that. It's fine. And then we're going to come up to here, roughly, and that is at negative 195 and 165. So position Y is close. Our X is way off. It thinks it's like over here, which explains that. But where is the Y coming from? I don't understand. That's very frustrating. Okay. How is it just getting this much freaking air? Okay. Let's see. I guess the first thing I should focus on, honestly, is getting accurate parent information, like accurate position data, because it's clearly not correct here. Which means that I probably need to change this to not be stretched out like that, and instead to be on the center like that. It's super awkward, but I'm going to do that for now just to see if that makes it more accurate. And that should itself make our draggable connection more accurate, because it's... I think the problem is that if I don't have them be from the center, it gets really weird. So let's go ahead and do this. And that's largely because anchored positions are from the anchor normalized value. So at 0.5, 0.5, it expects it to be in the middle like this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and drag around. Wow, you got markedly... Well, actually, no, you're still correct, aren't you? Yeah. You're still the correct size, you're just not positioned correctly. Actually, I don't know if you're the correct size or not. You seem to be the correct size, but you also seem to have problems. Like that. Okay. So that's not great. It pretty apparently does not like that. So frack. Okay. Try the YMCA. What? Oh, to get people to play with you. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's as good a place as any. Um, this is really annoying because I don't know. Let me go ahead and say rect transform. Actually, hold on. Rect transform utility. Dot. What are my options here? Relative rect transform bounds. I might be able to do something with that actually. But let's see what else we can get. Reference equals screen point to local point rectangle screen point. Okay, so I guess we're gonna have to use this. Calculate relative rect transform bounds. That is gonna get super awkward because I need to basically know the parent rect, the rect area that can be dragged around. Oh. That is also a good place to check. Yeah, yeah, the offset value there. I think it was one of those situations where my calculations were actually pretty wildly off. They just happened to be almost correct in certain axes, and that caused me to think I was on the right track, but I don't think I actually was. Um, so calculate relative rect transform bounds. I think I can. I think I can do this. I don't like doing this. I'm gonna again have this be just like a public field for now. Public rect transform root. So we're gonna say debug.log rect transform utility dot calculate relative rect transform bounds. That'll be root and then cache transform. Okay. And then we'll be able to say dot. I do have a center. Okay. Dot to. Really? I'm not using. Oh, I'm not. Then We'll just debug dot to center. Oh, no, we won't, because that's useless. So I'm going to go up here and say using sleepyowl.common real quick. And then dot to vector string. Okay. Let's let that compile. And I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. So I want to see if this value is correct. I guess I will also go ahead and copy this. We're going to say this plus this. We're going to say source is equal to that. So let's go ahead and copy this again. We're going to go over to our connection node, and under this we will do that. We'll say target. And oh, piece of crap. Again, I'm going to just do a public. I want to see if this works. Public rect transform root. And if it does work, then I will have to figure out how to calculate this stuff. Oy! It's a never-ending cycle with this. So these need to have their roots in the draggable area, I believe. So let's go ahead. Let's compile. Oh, dang it, of course it finished. Right as I was taking a drink. Okay, this is going to be our draggable area for our root. Our draggable area. I'm mostly just curious to know if it thinks it's in the right spot. Or if my, like if that returns accurate information. Oh, holy crap, it might. And that's way easier than what I was doing. It just means I need to have a reference to the actual root that I'm doing this in. So let's go ahead and create an empty object. Okay, so over here, we were going to, let's see. So source thinks it's at negative 83. Okay. So you think you're here? Well, that's not quite right. It also thinks it's, oh, crap. Yeah, okay. So I'm willing to bet that that is because it's positioning it in space, as in world space. That explains why it thinks it has a position of 40 some for the, or 50, I guess. Is it increasing? Did it move? It kind of moved. That's weird. Why did it move? I didn't drag anything. Oh, whatever. So yeah, that's why it thinks it has a Y value instead of a 0 value there. And as far as you go, are you correct? Because that would be pretty cool. So target is negative 149 and 1. Okay. So target is correct, but the room is not. Why? Ooh, it might be that. Maybe. So that, yeah, hilariously enough, broke it. Because of course it did. And let's see. We're talking source of negative 140. Still, it seems to constantly be increasing, which is kind of distressing. I'm going to turn off maximize on play. I just want to see if that goes up. Source is constantly changing. How? We're not moving. How on earth are you constantly changing? So the source should be over here. I don't. Okay, whatever. Like how are you changing? You're not moving. It's so freaking weird. Now it's just straight up broken. Huh. Okay, well I'm gonna try and put this back the way I wanted to do it originally. So I'm gonna stretch this out 10 and 10 and negative 10 And let's see if you can work. We'll do a pivot of point. Oh, no, I can't do that. I want that to be 1, don't I? Okay, I'm curious to know if that will give me more of an expected output. Maybe, maybe not. I did not expect getting the dragging stuff to, or getting the lines rendering to work would take this long. It's growing faster than that can possibly be correct for. Because you'll notice that it's not keeping pace. So close. So close. Yeah. Well, that's really annoying. Okay. What do we got? So we're looking at negative 87 by 162, negative 152. Is that correct? So negative 152 by 78, which we don't care about, so I just want to see if negative 152 is correct. That's not right. Negative 152 is even closer to the freaking center. Ugh. Okay, let's see if there is direct transform utility dot relative direct transform bounds. Oh, that's potentially a worthwhile thing. Pixel adjust point. Return the corner points in pixel accurate coordinates. Would that be useful? Pixel correct point. I don't know if this is what we would expect. I'm kind of hoping that pixel adjust point would actually be the position that I want. I would just have to give it a screen space point, which means that I would have to convert like world to screen point. Oh, jeez. All kinds of wrong here. Okay, so world to screen point, which I would then do. Oh, jeez, all kinds of wrong. I guess it would be. Wait, but how does that work? Oh, it's world to screen point, which gives us a vector 2. That's right. And then we do screen point to local point in rectangle. What's the difference between that and world point? Oh, it's a vector 2. Okay. Well, let's try that. It's going to be super weird. So I basically have to like pipe it through to get the world point, which is what that calculate relative rect transform bounds does. Well, that gives us the bounds, and I would get the center from that. Then I would convert that to a screen point, and then I would convert that into the actual position that I need. Ugh, that is disgustingly, unnecessarily complicated. Okay. So I guess I'm going to do this. Take you, get rid of you. We're going to go ahead and just comment out all of this. Comment you out. So vector 2 pose is equal to, actually no, that's not. We'll say vector 2 pose is equal to vector 2 dot 0. And then at the end here we'll return pose. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and say that. Get rid of you. So that's the center, that's the vector 3, so we're going to say vector 3 center is equal to that. And then we need to do rect transform utility dot, let's see. I don't know if I can do pixel adjust rect and just skip everything. I feel like I couldn't. So it would probably be better to pass in, yeah, this stuff. So we're going to have to do world to screen point. We'll pass in camera dot main for now, followed by center. That's going to return to vector 2. And then we'll say vector2 sp is equal to that. And then we'll say we have our pose here, and that's because we're going to need to do rect transform utility dot screen point to local point in rectangle, which is going to pass in our root, then our screen point, which is sp, then our camera dot main, followed by pose. Outpose. Oh my god, if I could stop. There we go. Outpose. That is ridiculous. And then I'm going to debug .log pose.toVectorString. So let's just see what that does. And while it's compiling, I'm going to take another drink. Man. Should not have taken me this long to do. But I think it's partially because I want to find a faster and easier way to actually handle creating lines. Because as you've seen in the past, my current method of generating arrows is not exactly correct. It has some weird issues occasionally. Okay, so we are going to do that, and then we're going to... I guess we'll go ahead and pause. So that edit was made in our I/O connection. Okay. So it's probably this. So negative 196, positive 63. That I already know that's wrong. So yeah, that's not right. Okay, I think that might be addressed by simply using my UI camera. Maybe. So let's go ahead and... Freaking ridiculous. We're going to do another public field for now. Public camera event cam. Okay, come down here. I'm going to paste this in. Probably, I'm surprised that didn't really break anything, considering that I didn't have a main camera, I don't think. Was I not getting... Oh, there it is. Yeah, I was totally getting null references. Maybe. Or not. No. Who knows? This should at the very least be a little bit less chaotic, because I'm not going to have to search the scene for main. Let's go through here. Clear you guys out. Let's collapse you. I'm going to assign... camera. Okay. Let's see what this does. I really... Oh, here we are. Let's go ahead and hit pause. Console. Ah, geez, there's just so many. Negative 201 and 52. That... No! What the f... What is wrong with the Y? Like, I believe negative 201 might be correct. I don't think it is, but we'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and create an empty object. So it should be like right about there. 201... It might be going to the pivot. Okay. So that's not too bad, really. But... In fact, that's correct. It's just that, like, where's the 50 coming from? I don't understand. We should be centered perfectly. Like, we have no offset. So this should not be 50. It should be freaking 0. And instead we're getting slightly correct. But nothing like I would expect. I don't know where that... I don't know where that 0 is coming from. I don't know how I can think that it has y. Because 50 isn't even a sensible number when I try to consider things like maybe it's getting the halfway pixel value or the halfway pixel coordinate between 0 and the height of the screen, but it's not 0 to 100. It should be 0 to I think 720-ish for the canvas, because I use 720p resolution for my UI. So why on earth is it giving me this? Why do my x coordinates always seem to be correct, but not my y coordinates? Okay. Well, what other tools do we have in rectransform.utility? Or rectransform.utility. Let's see. We could try pixel adjust point. Given point in screen space to a pixel correct point. Huh. I don't know how to read that really. Rectangle contains screen point. Yeah, I mean that's world point in rectangle maybe? No, because that gives me a vector 3. That's not something that we care about. I mean, I guess I can try this. I'm gonna go ahead and create. I'm just gonna create a cube. Move this out. And where do you think you are? Cube. You think you're at 0 too? Oh, that's so much worse. Like 50. I don't even know. I don't even know where it's getting 50 from then. Like, that's even less sense. It's not halfway between them. At least not... No, that looks greater than halfway between them. So... I don't know what's happening here. All I can tell is that my frickin' Y position is frickin' wrong. Okay. Let's see. What could we do for this? Is my... No, that wouldn't make sense. I mean, does this get worse if I were to, like... frick, I have to stop playing. Okay, so, like, if I move it down, does this get even worse? So if I actually, like, scroll the background area to here, it does. So it thinks it's now at 200 Y instead of 100, or instead of 50. Sorry, and that's just all kinds, and it gets worse as I drag up, which makes 0 sense because that number should never change, except it totally does. Okay, so this is worthless to me then. Because it's not giving me an accurate position. Okay. Well, that's very annoying. Could it be my approach that's wrong? Excuse me. Relative rect transform bounds. I guess. Let me debug.draw. Yeah, okay. Let's do this. We're gonna go ahead and grab this. Bounds b is equal to this. Not is equal to that. Just b dot center. Okay. So So we're going to go ahead and whenever this is happening, we're going to debug dot draw line from b dot lower. Oh, okay. Oh, it's min, isn't it? Min. Yep. To new vector3 b dot min dot x b dot max dot y b dot min dot z. Okay. Go ahead and grab that. Drag from there to b dot max. Okay. Then we will draw from there to here. And we will finally end with this. Okay. So we're going to go from max to new vector3 b dot min dot, b dot max dot x b dot min dot y b dot max dot z. Okay. And last thing will be this over to min. So this should draw like the bounds of the IO connection that it thinks it has. So I'm going to go ahead and see if it is at the very least correct. And if those calculations are way off, then I'm going to be mad and sad and all of the ads. Mostly because it means I'll probably have to do a bunch of research to figure out how exactly I can just arbitrarily calculate the position of a rect transform in relation to one of its parents. And if that doesn't exist, then I'll have to end up writing it myself, which is gonna suck. Okay. All right. So. Wow. Nope. Although it's interesting because that seems to be, you can see the arrow is staying out of that bound for the most part. So that's interesting. Huh. So it. Yeah, that's not what I was expecting. Okay. What can I do here? Go ahead and pause. That doesn't even make sense. Let's see. Our cache transform, that's our logic connection. Why is it changing when I draw? Like as I move the node around, it shouldn't move because I'm not moving it. I'm moving a child of it. Maybe it counts that as its bounds? That would be really dumb if it did that. That really would be stupid. Okay. So what I was hoping would happen is that it would basically just get the rect transform bounds of this rect transform. So it would basically give us this square. But that's not the case. It's giving us from what it looks like is roughly the center of our parent node, then the bottom of the bounds for this, and then the node's child position seems to factor in. And that all seems to create a weird rect. That is not at all how I was expecting that to work. What could I do for this? I don't think that this is going to give me what I want. I feel like relative rect transform bounds must include all of the children rect transforms. That's the only reason I can think that it would give me this shape, and why it would change whenever you drag it around. Okay. Um. Well, I hate I hate to end it here, but I'm gonna go off and look up whatever documentation I can find on the rect transform utility class. I'm willing to bet that it's not going to be very well documented, but I'm going to see if I can get something out of this, because it would be really nice to have the ability to do things like, get the relative anchor, well, not the relative, but the actual absolute anchored position of a child rect transform from a root rect transform. Like, I would kind of be surprised if that functionality didn't already exist. But if it doesn't, then it would be nice to build that out. Because I can think of quite a few places that I would actually be able to use that. So I think we're gonna call it a day. I apologize that I was not apparently on my A game today. I kind of just couldn't really think of what to do here. Um, but we got some things done. Namely, we have started the output and input connection system for hooking up logic. But we still have a ways to go with that, obviously. And I mean, keep in mind that this logic stuff is going to by far be the most time-consuming part of custom adventures, just because of how much stuff has to happen. So we're still taking our first few baby steps to really complete this, but hopefully we can. Once I get my bearings, hopefully I'll be able to actually tackle this in a good way. But for now, it's quite obvious that I'm kind of floundering around. But I've never done something like this before, so it'll be really cool when we manage to pull it off. All right, so before we go, any announcements? None that I know of. I will hopefully not have another work event that comes up like, one day before it happens at the most. So hopefully all of next week I should be able to stream everything. We'll be back to combat system refactoring. Got a lot of cool stuff on there. I've been tinkering with some stuff, so I'm excited. Well, and of course I have two days. Yeah, 2 days before the next stream, so it'll be exciting to see what I got. Anyway, I think that is about it. So, actually, and quick heads up. Next Saturday, I will not be doing a dev stream, most likely. There's a family event that I have to go home for, and I don't think that I'll be able to get back before 3. But keep an eye on the Discord and on Twitter and all that, and I'll let everyone know. So, all right, I think that's a good place to stop. So, as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.